Look at that. That's my James Bond picture. And I'm surrounded by potential Bond girls. They weren't at all. They were actually cheerleaders from the Rugby Sevens who agreed to stand next to me while I took that picture. Now, here's one of the problems. Because it was outside and it was gorgeous and there's a beautiful glowing Dubai sign and I've got very dark skin, you've got no proof at all it was me. If you could see me better, you'd say, Dave, wow, what a great picture. But you're just going, okay, did Dave superimpose his head on somebody else? Have a look again. Look. And I'm saying it's me and you're saying it's not. And that's at the heart of everything we're talking about today. Today's show is all about imposter syndrome and how to overcome it. I've spent my entire life dealing with imposter syndrome, but I didn't know it was a thing until Black Lives Matters came out as a conversation about the amount of people of all colours and all genders who went through life thinking maybe I'm not meant to be here, or maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, or somebody's going to find out how I'm actually faking everything and I'm going to tumble all the way down to the bottom of the food chain. You know, something like 82% of people feel this. So it's not just you and it's not just me. And what it's meant to me is my entire life, I've gone all the way to a certain level and then I've just stopped because I didn't feel I was invited to the top table. That was the one I grew up with. I'm sure you've got your own version. And today we're going to analyze it and come to terms with what you need to be able to move over. In today's session, I will share with you my strategy that will blow your mind and get you to a complete next level and get over your imposter syndrome. And more than anything, it's actually going to allow you to use your imposter syndrome that's been holding you back and putting it behind you as an engine, drive you faster forward than you've ever been before. So you'll fast track towards all the successes that you truly need, and it will blow your mind. So stick around, get yourself a cup of coffee. This is my Cheers mug. Coffee tastes good. Daughter's not having her cup back, and it's great to have you with me. Talk to you in a few seconds' time. So let's crack on with the issues at hand. Now, the thing is, when we're talking about something like imposter syndrome, before we actually get into that, I want to share with you, and it's a juggling act, isn't it? It's the stuff I want to share with you on the show, it's the stuff I want to share with you to move forward, and the stuff that I promised to share with you. First of all, let me show you something I think will be very useful for you. If you've missed any of the videos, by the way, then you can catch them straight away just by going to this channel. Well, in fact, these are the podcasts. You should go to this channel, which is YouTube, and there you can catch all the latest videos as they happen, because I broadcast them live at the same time. Go to youtube.com and go to Dave Crane, and all the shows and everything are on here. But as I alluded to there as well, you can catch Dave Crane Daily here as a podcast. Every single episode, as they come up, are available for you to watch there as well. Nice pop-ups. Thank you so much, by the way, Google. Okay? And also, if you go to Spotify, it's all there. All the episodes, every day as they come up, are broadcast and put onto there as well. If you want to catch up with me on LinkedIn and get all the stuff I don't put here on the show, then I do post about twice daily, and you can catch all the episodes and all the bits and stuff there. Right, with that being said, let's get back to the issue at hand, which is imposter syndrome. Now, you don't know much about me, but there's loads of stuff that I don't do, and it's amazing because of all the stuff I do. So for instance, when I attend or host a huge event, or when I work with a superstar or major celebrity, at the time I'll say, yeah, here we go. I'll do it, and thank you very much, and goodbye, and I move on. And instantly I go back to zero in my own head. And people watch and go, my goodness, Dave, you work with all these people. How could you do all that? And I just go, yeah, but they're not hanging around me now. And that's my imposter syndrome, sort of defeating the experience of what is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that happens to me all the time. Let me put this in perspective. If I share with you, for instance, if we go down to the video vault, I'll show you the promo I use to go on stage so you can see exactly who I am and what I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've hosted over 1,000 events, and there's nothing more exciting or nerve-wracking than getting to introduce one of the best in the business. He's an award-winning international motivational speaker and coach. He's worked with celebrities like James Brown and Bruce Willis.
And I'm Jack Canfield.
And I'm Brian Tracy.
And I'm John Gray.
I'm Jared Robin.
And I'm Perry Marshall.
Hi, I'm George Regan.
audiences of over 1 billion people. He's sharing how to become unstoppable in business. It's my honor to introduce to you Dave Crane.
So that's my background. That's me. That's what I do. And there's more to add to it. I've got a huge event I've just signed up that I'm doing this week. And as soon as I've got the papers all signed, I'll tell you all about it. Now, you've got your own story and your own stuff. I'm not saying, hey, look at me, that's great, I'm fantastic, I'm better than you. I'm not better than you, we're all the same. But the point is that I've got my own battles going on in my own head about who I am and what I do. And in a conversation I had with my mastermind group last night, we were talking about this, and I realized that the biggest problem that I've got with imposter syndrome is I've got over it. I'm going to share with you exactly how I got over it in a few moments' time. But I've also realized that there's a couple of things that you have to do to get your head in that space to be able to do it properly. And so my new keynote that I'm going to be traveling around the world doing is about imposter syndrome. Because I realized that so many people now not only have imposter syndrome, but also need to dig deep to find out how they're going to survive in the new business climate. They've either lost their job, or they're starting something new, or they're feeling uncomfortable in their own space, or they've lost somebody, or they're worried about coronavirus, or they're not dealing with remote learning quite the same way as they thought they could. Lots of different reasons. And people are a little bit more vulnerable and not quite ready to open up that vulnerability because of the fact that they're scared that people will see inside and turn around and say, you shouldn't be here. You're not good enough. Do you get my point? So that's why my keynote has come out, this whole thing. I haven't written it yet, but I'll be delivering it in Malta, in a big gig in Malta, in a couple of weeks' time. But before we go to that, I want to share with you a couple of things I've been looking at, because I think it'll really help as well. So let's go to Flipboard, and I was looking up on Flipboard, which is a great way to create your own magazines based on the subjects and the keywords that you really like, and you can follow me here, by the way, Dave Crane. And I was looking up imposter syndrome, because I thought, well, I really want to address this and get this completely in the focus of what I want it to be. So people are calling me now. Don't call me now. No, you can't call me now. I'll call you later. There we go, thank you very much. I don't know who it was. Can you see? No, you can't. And if it was you, I apologize. But you should be watching, and you shouldn't call me now. Just saying. Okay, imposter syndrome. I've got a whole load of sections on it here. Really fascinating stuff. But one thing I wanted to share with you was this. So there's a lady here called Marissa Miller who's written a book. And it's not loaded here. It's called Pretty Weird. It's all about getting over imposter syndrome. And it's from a website here you can see called mtlblog.com. So you can see about mtlblog.com. So Marissa's written 5 things here from her book. I've not read a book. And I found fascinating. First of all, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of today's show, and by the way, I'd love to know your thoughts and comments on this because it's a really important subject to me. I will be dealing with it again in the future because I just think it keeps coming back to haunt you. So she says, first of all, you're not alone. 82% of people apparently, I don't know which survey it is, experience imposter syndrome. So you're actually one of the many as opposed to being one of the unique who doesn't feel it. Okay, number 2, you deserve your success by virtue of thinking that you don't. So here's the thing. Rather than having that challenge of saying, I'm not good enough, the fact that you're thinking about it means that you are entitled. And so you should go through all the lengths and all the challenges that you're going through, because by the time you get there, you will be able to prove I do deserve it because I made it happen. Next up, number 3, feelings aren't facts. So the way you're feeling about it is the way that your body, your mind, your emotions all set you up, but it's actually a distortion. It's not the truth. Facts are facts. Feelings are there to support you if you do them the right way. So rewire your brain to drive you forward. Go to a therapist, change the way you deal with it, use NLP. I'm going to use some NLP with you soon. And then neuro-linguistic programming to help you feel differently about it. And then you can work forward. So crying as well is good for you and laughing is good. Use your emotions on your side. Number 4, be honest about it. The more you're honest about it, the more you can own your own success, the more you can admit that you're struggling. But once you've identified the enemy, then you can work forward to fixing it. And then number 5 is this. Sometimes overcoming imposter syndrome involves acknowledging you might never overcome it. So therefore, feeling that you're fighting it off is normal. So deal with it and just say, you know what, I've got imposter syndrome, but now I know what it is. Now I know what that voice in my head is saying to me. I understand what the problem is and I can do something about it. Does that make sense? Often the voice in your head that tells you you shouldn't do stuff and you can't do stuff is actually implanted from a well-being person, an adult, a parent, a teacher, somebody who cares about you, who doesn't want you to make a fool of yourself or hurt yourself. So, for instance, when you're very small, you pick up a glass and you're wobbling around, you're a toddler, you're 2 years old, you've got this glass of water, and your mum says, put it down, you'll break it, put it down. Well, you get told no, 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 hundreds and thousands of times in your childhood. There's no surprise that it's going to come back and bite you later on in later life. So let's look at now, before we finish the show, on the ways that you can overcome. There's a really powerful way of doing it, and I'm going to share that next with you on this show. So I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings on this because it's a really important subject. Imposter syndrome, if you just joined us, by the way, that you can watch the show from the beginning. The show's only about 10 or so minutes long deliberately to give you a chance to jump in and out every single day. But we do go daily, Dave Crane Daily, hence the title. So here's how I got over imposter syndrome. And I'll tell you it very quickly, but I will do more on it in a future time. So make a note because you want to keep this. First of all, there's three things. First one is you are initially defined by your birth certificate, which will have your name on it. So mine says David Maxwell Crane, born years ago and in a hospital in Leeds in the UK. So that's what it says, and that's what you grow up being. And then later on, when you grow old enough, you sort of leave home and you start creating your own identity. So mine is now Dave Crane. So I'm a speaker, I'm a host, I'm an event organizer, and blah, 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 blah. So that Dave Crane on my social media was created out of David Maxwell Crane. Agreed? So that's number two. But here's the thing. Dave Crane is also a father, he's a husband, he's also been through challenges, he also has identified, he's got stuff that hasn't worked and stuff that has worked. Dave Crane is a flawed individual. Yeah, of course I function very well and I fake it very well and also I succeed very well. But there are levels of me that sometimes hold me back because when I think about them, I feel sad or I feel weak or I don't feel good enough. I'm sure you feel the same way sometimes. But here's where the third bit comes in. That's fascinating. You know when you step up and you go in the zone. It could be when you're running. It could be when you're doing something that you're really good at, like when you're doing your work, or when you're playing basketball and you keep scoring, or you're playing golf, or whatever your thing is, or you're dancing and having fun with your friends, or somebody's cheeky to you and you say stuff back and it's really cool. And people say, where did you get that from? And you just, I don't know, I just felt like saying it. All those elements are a construct of a version of you that's a higher level than your norm. Think about this. So Superman and Clark Kent. Is Superman made out of Clark Kent? Or is Clark Kent made out of Superman to hide the fact he's Superman? Is Spider-Man made out of Peter Parker? Or is Peter Parker made out of Spider-Man? The truth is, Peter Parker doesn't go around doing amazing things, but Spider-Man does. Same as Batman, same as Bruce Wayne. So you have a character, almost like a superhero character, that you step into when you do your very best stuff. It's the one that scores the goals when you play football. It's the one that gets everybody up and starts partying when everyone's not in a really good mood. It's the one that gets the work finished and hands it in ahead of time and gets great results or gets a job interview. You know that version of you? Well, that's the third version. Mine is Max. Say hello to Max. So what I do is when I'm in times when I think I really can't do this or this is difficult, I hand over the reins to Max. Who's Max? I just knocked the microphone. You might have heard that. Max is when I go on stage. Max is when I go on stage in front of an audience and the cameras are watching, I'm broadcasting live to TV and I'm going, right, what's going to happen? Somebody comes up to me, they've got a challenge, I don't care, I'll deal with it. Like that. Top of the head, I'll deal with it. Or I've got a challenge in front of me, I'll do it. Leave it to Max, Max has got it. That's the very best version of me. So when it comes to imposter syndrome, get that third version of you to deal with it. First one's a birth certificate. Second one's the one that's on your social media. And the third one is, I would give it the nickname that you had from school. Because I'm David Maxwell Crane, Max comes out of Maxwell. But you will have a nickname. It might be your first name. It might be, your surname with E on the end of it or something. But that is your optimized version. That's how you deal with imposter syndrome. So you get that version of you and you throw that at everything. Just like putting a screensaver on, or just like having an antivirus to go through your entire system and clean out all the stuff that shouldn't be there, Trojans and viruses and everything. Clean your system out with the very best version of you. And you might need to hit a certain record, you might need to look at a picture, you might need to talk to somebody to get you into that mood to feel like you're in charge again. Doesn't matter. Do whatever it takes, because that version of you will get you over imposter syndrome. Do it yourself. I guarantee it works, and I guarantee this will also blow your mind. So there we have it. Show took a little bit longer than I intended. I've got to admit, I normally do about 10 minutes, but I think it's worth it for you today. So if you stuck with me all the way through, that's fantastic. If you didn't stick with it or you missed everything, I guarantee today's episode it's super powerful for you. Go back and review it, share it with people, comment, and the more people we can reach with this stuff, the more effect we can have and make the world a better place. See, I don't mind how many people watch the show, because everybody who watches it gets rewarded. Those who go, I can't be bothered, or I'm just going to click on clickbaity type stuff, then that's their choice. So I'll be back same time tomorrow with more stuff. Connect with me if you want to know more. By the way, if you want me to work with you on your speaking or your branding and getting yourself out there as a really powerful version of you, the nickname version of you, might want to work with me because you've always thought, if I could do that all the time, I could be great. That's my industry icon program. I work with people on that all the time. Connect with me. Let's set up a chat through the calendar link. Let's have a Zoom. And let's get you to be the very best that you can be. No more imposter. Now, industry icon. That's it for me today. Look after yourself. Cheers. Bye-bye.